And while Jesus was in the temple observing people donating their contribution to the treasury, he saw many who comes and throw large sum of money. But then he observed a widow who came and threw in the treasury a very small coin. The gospel said to us, equal to few cents of ours. And he really took it to heart. In fact, he called his disciples and said to them, I say to you, this widow contributes more, would contribute to the treasure, more than all put together. Because she contributes all her livelihood, everything that she has to live on. Now I hope that you don't take no ideas from that. In the first reading today, we hear the prophet Elijah, a man of God who came in a time when King Ahaz married Jezebel, a pagan woman, who really brought forth a cult of a foreign god. And she insists that Israel, the whole Israel, worship her God. And we know that Elijah went after her and demanded of her a great reputation, demand of her that she will consider what she has done. And because she really made her look like a fool in front of the people, she made it in her heart that she will destroy him. And as he was fleeing away from her, because she knew that she was capable of doing so, he came to Sarepta. And there he met a widow. And the scripture said she was collecting few sticks, not wood, few sticks. And she was going home to bake a cake for her and her son, and then they will die. And while he looks at her and introduces himself to her, we saw that the woman recognized him, that he is a man of God. You know, I can disguise myself how much I want. You know, you go to places, you go to restaurants, you go to place of business, but people recognize you. Hey, Father, they say, oh, people here, they know me. You know, sometimes even nuns, you know, they think that they can take off their habit and go, they have a way about them, they give themselves away. And, you know, this is what the woman said. The woman was not even a Jewish woman. She was not, you know, a woman that worshipped the God of Abraham. And so she said to him, listen to the word she said to him, I swear by your God that I don't have nothing. I have little flour in my jar and a little oil in my jug. I am about to collect these sticks. I prepare some dinner for my son and myself, and then we eat it and die. Listen to the answer. I swear by God, he said to her, by my God, the God of Israel, that the jug of oil will never finish, and neither the flour. And we know that the woman went and did exactly what the prophet said. And she made a cake and brought it to the prophet, and did exactly what he said of her to do. And that's the first lesson I learned. This woman was introduced by this foreigner, and because she saw him a man of God, she did exactly what he asked of her. The question that comes to me, as it comes to all of us, do we really obey the word of God? Do we really listen to what God intends for us to do? Even when she took the food away from the mouth of her son to give it to the stranger. But listen to the prophet. I promise you, by my God, that go hungry till the rain comes on the ground again. Because Elijah has promised that because of the stubbornness of the people and because of the sin of Jezebel, the heavens will be closed for 3.5 years. And you know, Palestine without rain is hopeless. Everything is water. God promised Moses, I will give you a land of milk and honey. How can you have cattle if you don't have pasture? And how can you have bees if you don't have flowers and pollen? I go in the gospel there to find the same woman, a woman who really was so much in love with God that she didn't care of herself. She gave her life to the treasure. So it's not how much I give, but the way I give, the intention of the heart. Now, a few years ago, Benedict XVI elevated to a sainthood a man by the name of Don George Breca. And Don George Breca is the founder of the Museum, a society of men and women who promise not to marry, and for 7 days a week they teach catechism. That's where I come from. They teach catechism, and even those who are confirmed, they continue to go for instructions. I was 19 before I entered the seminary when I left the society to begin my preparation for the priesthood. And the word of Don George was recta coscienza, wrapped conscience. Everything you do, have to do it with the sincerity of heart. It's not how much you do, it's not how many people see what you do, but how much God really sees your heart. And you do it because of the love that you have for God. In the second reading today, the letter of the Hebrews teaches us who is Jesus Christ, the mediator between the Father and us. Again, Don George really was very strong about the incarnation. In fact, the motto of his society is verbum caro factum est, and the Word of God without flesh. The mystery of the incarnation is beyond the imagination of any mind. How God would need nobody, become nothing, so we can be somebody. He united us together and brought us together to his Father, and with his passion and death, he restored us again to that friendship of sons and daughters. And together with him, we can say, Abba, Father. Not only that, but he also gave himself completely on the hill of Carmel. There is no greater love than this, than one lay down his life for the one he loves. This is what the author is trying to say to us, that he came to offer one sacrifice to really take away our sin, reconcile us with the Father, so he can give us salvation. And that's why he will come again, so that we who are saved will go to heaven. We who are saved will enter because of him to the eternal rest. So the first reading at the Gospel, we have 2 people there, 2 widows, who really gave all that they had. And then we have Jesus who gave all for us all. And that is the discipleship stewardship, the stewardship of a disciple. That we learn to really understand that in order to love God, it's not how much we show off, how much we know about the faith, and how much we really give of ourselves to others, but the way we do it. The way we do it. As you know, our Holy Father has initiated this year a year of faith. And that year of faith begins October 11 and will finish next year with the help of God on the feast of Christ the King, the 24th of November. And what is our Holy Father is trying to say to the Universal Church? That we have to examine ourselves and see what kind of relationship we have with Jesus. That Jesus, who loves us so much, that not only he became incarnate, but gave himself completely for us. That Jesus, who is calling us for a personal relationship. And we get to know him in a very special way from the Word of Scriptures. But in the scriptures, we come to know the message. And then that message is being given to us in a very specific way in the catechism and teaching of the councils of the church. And we who are going to be equipped by this message and by this teaching, we are going to be on fire to bring that message to others. But first, we need to have a conversion. And conversion is not for the pagans. Conversion is for everyone who is sitting here, including myself. Every one of us needs a conversion to change, to become better than we are, to really examine ourselves where we are in relationship with Jesus. And that relationship with Jesus is going to determine the fruits of our actions. You can tell me that you go to church every Sunday. You can tell me that you obey the commandments. You can tell me that you have no sin. If your life is not a manifestation of what you believe, in other words, bring that faith by your example of life and by your witness to others, you are like what St. Paul said, a bell who ring for the people in the tower for them to come to service. But you never see the bell in the pew. And that is what it is. What is love, St. Paul said? Love is something that you do not keep it yourself. In fact, love is deny your ego, deny your desires, deny who you are, die to yourself, and give completely yourself to Christ and to serve His church. This weekend, we are trying to issue forth or to air forth the harvest of our parish ministries. What is the harvest of parish ministries? We have different organizations and different ministries in our church, in our parish, that really is looking forward to see involvement of many parishioners. And the first thing that you say is, I am too busy. And when you stop there, it means you don't want. And when you don't want, means your love for Christ is very shallow. Because your love for Christ, if it is really deep and have roots, not only you will love the Lord, but you want others to love Him. And this is what the harvest ministry of the parish is all about. That we present in front of you all kinds of challenges, all kinds of ministries, who help those who mourn the loss of their loved ones, who help those who are going through struggles and reach out to them by phone. We reach out to those who are sick and homebound. We visit the sick and we visit those who are in nursing homes. We do a lot of things that really is called act of mercy. Then of course we have the lectors, the Eucharistic ministers, the altar servers, the ushers, all kinds of ministries that we have in the parish. And sometimes, those people who are in those ministries, they do it year after year. But we need a new blood. We need people to get involved. That is when the parish become alive. We need people to understand that to be a parish is not sitting in the pew every Sunday just going for Mass. A parish is a parish when it's alive, full of concern for people, and live the spirit of the message, or what we call it, the mission that we were established for. That we come around the Eucharistic table, but also we bring forth that ministry to those who are less fortunate. Many of you have people in your own homes who stray away from the Lord. They stray away from the Lord for many reasons. There is a lot of excuses that we give, and they give. But we are not going to stay still and do nothing about it. Our Holy Father said we need to go in the squares of our streets. We need to go in the places of recreation. We need to bring this Jesus in every place where we go. And he said, open the door. Open the door of our church for others to enter. This is, dear people, the message that we learn today. A message of really understanding that to love is not someone who loves his wife by saying, I love you, dear, or I give you a rose because I was going through the cemetery and I found fresh roses, I'll bring you one. Or I write you a note, I love you, on the anniversary of marriage, which sometimes you don't want to remember. And God forbid you forget her birthday, or his birthday. That is not love. Love is when you know that there is more than that. It's by giving yourself completely to the other person, and because you love the other person, you help the other person not to be overloaded with work. Because what she is doing and what he is doing is both together shared in a very mutual way. My dear people, when we speak about love, sometimes there is no right words to use. A person who truly loves is a person who is disinterested in himself. Always look for the good of others. Always do for others. And sometimes even forget your needs. That's love. Love is when you are not going to shelter yourself with comfortability, and this is not a convenient time. Oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, I cannot do that, because that means you are not really interested. You are not really in love. And this is what our Holy Father is trying to say to us, to really wake up from our sleep. To become more aware that Christ needs you today more than yesterday to make himself known to me. The evangelization that you can do is better than any evangelization we can organize to do. Because when you have a person-to-person relationship, you do so much work. You do so much with that. Because you have better results. And I conclude to you with these words. God did not ask us to be successful. God asks us to be faithful. God is asking you to do the best you can, because you cannot do better than that. But when you go to bed at night, you can say to yourself, I did not shy from my responsibility. I did the best I can, and God knows that I did that. It's like when you ask somebody to do you a favor, and really he goes out of his way to talk to people, but then he comes to you a few days later and says, I cannot help you because of this, this, and this. And what you say, thank you for your time. I really appreciate what you do for me. Why? Because you saw the interest he showed in you. Do we have that interest in Jesus? Do we really sincerely can say with a good conscience, that we are doing the utmost for Jesus and for his church? I challenge you. Because as the second reading said to us, because the church is moving towards the parousia. 2 more Sundays and we celebrate Christ the King and we begin Advent. And the end of the calendar of the church is Christ the King. So the church is looking at the end of times. The second reading said to us, and he will come again in glory, not to be born again, but to shower and to establish, to bring us to that establishment of a kingdom, to show us his salvation, to bring us to that salvation that he has bought for us by his life, death, and resurrection. Today, my dear people, the diocese is asking us to say a second collection for those victims of Hurricane Sandy. Each one of you know how blessed we are. Few miles away from our homes, at our shores, houses, people were devastated. They lost everything. They came back 4 days, 5 days later to view because they were removed for safety. And they saw a pile of wood. They lost all their belongings. They lost all their memoranda that they had here. And today they are saying to you and to me, we are of the same state, because it's New Jersey, north and south. He's saying to you, you who have been fortunate, can you help us? My dear people, the way the storm supposed to come was hit on. It was coming from the south, across, and go straight to Philadelphia. And instead the storm did again what we asked God to do, going against the shores of New Jersey. Are we lucky? Are we blessed? Today I challenge you. The second collection, I don't know what kind of collection we have, because every Sunday we have the second collection, but all the money in the second collection goes to this purpose. We send it to the bishop, and the bishop will give it to the other bishop, and they will give it to the victims. I ask you if you can write a check so we can also write you off for the income tax purposes when you come at the end of the year. But please help them. They need our help. They're our brothers and sisters. If we were in their shoes, we want others to help us. Yeah, there is insurance, but sometimes it's limited. You don't want to recover everything by insurance, believe me. Insurance wants your premium. When you come to collect, God love America. But the other thing is this. I challenge you today, on this great day when Jesus is asking us to give as he gave himself to us. And the woman of Sarepta and the woman of the gospel gave their life. We too. We need to really sincerely understand the position of the church today to help those who are less fortunate than we are. God bless you.